اوكي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. احمد الله رب العالمين حمد عبادي الذاكرين الشاكرين، واصلي واسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم اجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Allah teach us what benefits us and benefit us from what you have taught us, and increase us in knowledge. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. The last time we stopped at the adhan, and now we're going to switch on to wudu. But before I switch on to wudu, and I have a question: what does wudu mean? على فكرة when I ask these questions, I don't mean to be difficult. بس احنا the sunnah of anything in life, names and language is central to understanding anything. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Sayyidina Adam, one of the first things, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. He taught Adam all of the names. But there's several tafsirs for this ayah. One of it is, he taught him the names of everything that can and will and is in life for us to grasp those concepts. The concept of a car, or sayyara, something that you get into that moves, was taught to Sayyidina Adam, so we're able to do it. There are things we will never come up with in our lifetime as inventions, maslan, because we were not taught this. So we're not able to do it. It's not been programmed into us. Khalas. It's not there. And children, when they're growing up, based on how strong their vocabulary of their mother language is, not two languages, their mother language, they're able to then be easily bilingual or trilingual or quadrulingual. It depends on how strong the original language is. So that's why, for example, the Finnish people, it's very easy for them to learn languages because they don't learn English and Finnish at school. They learn biology, science, math, everything in Finnish, and then there's English. So they come out learning English properly. This goes for every culture, by the way. The French do this, the Germans do this, every culture. Except for, usually, Middle Eastern and Asian cultures. We learn science in English, and mathematics in English, and geography in English. The only subject we study our language in is the subject of our language, Arabic studies. Maybe religious studies. You study it in Urdu or in Arabic, khalas. And the rest is in English. So our vocabulary is very weak in our mother language. So it's very hard for us to understand, to speak a new language properly, except if you've been surrounded by people who speak this language all the time. And the only reason I speak English this well, with whatever flaws I have, is because I was surrounded by people who spoke English all the time, which is my family. They didn't speak a lot of Arabic. They were Francophone. They spoke English and Arabic. And I'm very weak in Arabic, and it took me a lot of time to get better at Arabic. A lot of time. But when we know the source roots of words and what they mean, first of all, they change your perception of the world. Second of all, you have a much stronger grasp of what this means in different languages and how to deal with it. Sorry for the long explanation. What does wudu mean by?
Cleaning, maybe?
Cleaning. What? The outcome of wudu is yes. The source is a bit different. Wudu comes from wada'a. When we think about wudu, we think about water, صح? Wudu comes from wada'a. Wada'a is to light something, comes from daw. Daw is light. Awda'a is to enlighten. How can water be related to light? And that's why in English, when you read the word for wudu in English, it says ablution. Yeah? That has to do with water. But the translation itself is wrong. If I took ablution and I turned it into Arabic, it would be istighsal, maybe another form of ghusl or something. It would not be wudu. Literally wudu, if you would turn it into Arabic, it is into English, it would be something like enlightening, or not enlightenment, enlightening, or something of that sort. ليه بقى؟ لأنه the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us in wudu is not a matter of just cleaning your body. It's about cleaning your heart and your mind and your soul. Prophet ﷺ, he says, my followers will be called on the day of judgment as those with bright faces and bright hands and feet from the traces of, again, ablution, incorrectly. brightness, cleanliness, and beauty. One of the meanings of, if you want to translate it properly, it should be brightness, cleanliness, and beauty all together. You know, this is what wudu does. طبعا wudu has, so he says, whoever among you can lengthen his brightness, let him do so. What does this mean? إنه never live in a state of non-wudu. And it's not about the prayer. And then you went to the bathroom, make wudu, خلاص. Went to the bathroom, make wudu. You lost your wudu, go make wudu and complete your day, even if you didn't go to the bathroom. هو كده إنه you're always in this state of purification, where if the prayer comes anytime you can pray, but that's not the point. And by the way, it's sunnah. It's like to, even if you have wudu, I've had it for 2 hours, and now it's dhuhr, that I renew my wudu. It's sunnah to do that. It's better to do that. But the point of wudu is, first of all, it has a very strong physical effect on you. Wudu, putting it on these tips of our body, it makes you much more alert, and it takes away any kind of drowsiness or heaviness. The body, ya jama'ah, and honestly, subhanallah, Allah created us an amazing vehicle to use in life, which is our bodies, but it is our worst enemy. Because the body is very heavy. It's a very heavy thing. Best a few meals and you feel like you can't get up. If you overeat a little bit, you can't get up. If you're having a really good sleep on a really good bed, you can't get up. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, one night they stuffed his mattress with a few extra leaves. He found it very hard to get up for Fajr. Sayyidina Bilal, he had to raise his voice. And he said, As-salatu khayru min al-nawm. As-salatu khayru min al-nawm. That's how we got the sunnah. Because the Prophet ﷺ used to be out before he reached that time of the adhan. He found that the Prophet ﷺ was not coming up. He had to repeat, As-salatu khayru min al-nawm. He got up and he asked Sayyidah Aisha, is there something wrong with my bed? She said, yeah, we made it more comfortable for you. And he said, don't do that. Because it took away from my ability to get up. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't sleep in nice beds. Yeah? But I'm telling you from experience, when I have a nice futon, which is a Japanese mattress on the floor, which keeps your back very much aligned and it's not too comfortable, I get up easily, although I'm on the floor. It's harder to get up when you're in that, you have to use all of your leg power to get up from the floor. Whereas when I'm on a normal bed, memory foam for astronauts developed for NASA with 1,200 springs under your back, I find it impossible to get up to pray. And I snooze, but my life is on snooze. But the body is a very heavy thing. Wudu makes you always wake up. And this idea of cleaning your nose, subhanAllah, in this country, just because it's sunny just a few days now, the stuffiness you get from the dust and the pollen, it's amazing. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the Sahaba said, Rasul ﷺ, نهانا عن الإسراف في كل شيء إلا في الاستنشاق إلا إذا كان أحدنا صائم. They said the Prophet ﷺ prohibited us from israf. Israf is doing something extra of something that's halal. Eating is halal, don't do too much of it. Copulation is halal, don't do too much of it. Anything that's halal, don't do too much of it, because it then turns into a haram of time, because it's going to stop you from doing the things you need to do. You won't have enough energy for the important stuff. They said, except with istinshaq, which is cleaning your nose with the water. Except that, he said, do it as much as you can. Except if you are fasting, be careful, especially in Ramadan. Because if you do it properly, when it goes behind, the whole system goes into your mouth, and then you bring it forwards from your mouth, it makes you really alert, and it takes away from all of the drowsiness and what they call sleep. There's something called sleep. There's a term for it. Basically, when you get up, you're still in that beta wave mode. The water takes all of that from you. And even when you're out, if you're awake for a few hours, that water going into your nose removes all of that from you. It's really important. Yeah? And a lot of people, when they have sinuses, the biggest solution for sinuses, by the way, is not surgery. Is you do this very well, at least 10 times a day, yeah, for a few months, and then see if you need sinus surgery or not. It cures it out. خلاص. فوضوء gives you all of this. It makes you alert, so you're able to always be on your feet, and it calms you down. What's the sunnah if somebody gets angry? If you're standing, sit down. If you're sitting down, lie down. That's one sunnah. The other sunnah is, if you're angry, go make wudu right away. If I'm always doing wudu, how can I be really that angry? And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you get up, when you go to bed, the shaitan ties 3 knots on your head. He says, sleep, you have a long night ahead of you. So when you wake up and you do the dhikr of Allah, alhamdulillah ahani ba'da damatini murad li ruhi, wa adni bi dhikr, alhamdulillah, that awakened me after I was dead and returned my soul to me, and He permitted me to do His remembrance. Wa adni bi dhikr. And then you make the first knot is untied. You make wudu, the second knot is untied. And then you pray your 2 rakahs, the third one is untied. That's why the scholars say, it's sunnah, sometimes you get up, especially in these months, if you're fasting or whatever, you're really hungry, you want to have a meal, and maybe listen to a little, Quran or something before you pray. But the third knot is not tied yet. Your chances of going back to bed are very high. And if you don't go to bed, the chances of you missing out on your qiyam and your dua and your khushu are very high, because the third knot is still untied. Aywa, maybe you're awake and you're making dhikr, but it hasn't been untied. The salah unties this. They always say, do your 2 rakahs ولو كانوا خفاف, even if they're light. يعني كل واحد قراب بالناس, بس do them. يعني don't go into your deep Quran mode the lights band, the thawb and the hoodie. بس كل واحد قراب بالناس. بس start بس. يعني break the third knot. طيب, what does the Prophet ﷺ say about wudu? He said, when a Muslim or believer does his wudu, every sin he has committed with his eyes is washed away from his face when he washes his face with water, or the last drop of water. When he washes his hands, the same thing, until the last drop of water, basically. Yani every single drip that comes off of you, it's cleaning those sins. And when he washes his feet, and anything he's walked towards, until he emerges purified from sin. And the completion of this hadith in another riwayah is, and when he goes into salah, his sins are put on his shoulders. It's like you have buckets kida. And so when he does ruku'ah, the sins fall off of him like leaves falling off a tree in fall. And when he gets up, the same. And then when he goes down, the same, they fall again. And that cycle keeps on getting repeated and repeated and repeated. Wudu cleanses us this way, in this very beautiful manner. And and I use this language because we understand it. Yani most of us in this room, I believe, I don't know, but most of us have read Harry Potter. If you didn't, you're very weird. But okay, most of us read Harry Potter, for we get these things. And I use this language because it makes sense, sadly, in the pop culture we live in. But part of بجد iman with time is you start to believe, I like to call it halal magic. Yani, there is this thing called a higher level of spirituality we don't understand. You want to call it magic, you want to call it alchemy, you want to call it the unseen. You have to call it something that you can relate to. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, when he used to sit with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, Ya Rasulullah, you have to understand, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, he lived his whole life with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People now doubt that how can Abu Hurairah have all these hadiths? How can he narrate all these hadiths? People now doubt this. His day, they still used to doubt in him. They used to say, أكثرت يا أبو هريرة, أكثرت عن رسول الله. You're saying too many hadith عن رسول الله. Are you sure that you know all these hadiths? Are you sure that you really listened to all of this? And he would tell them, عند الله اللقاء, عند الله الموعد. I have an appointment with you in front of Allah. I'm not going to answer. He dedicated his whole life. حتى Sayyida Aisha used to tell him, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, Ya Bahir. By the way, Sayyidina Rasulullah called him Abu Hir. The Sahaba called him Abu Hurairah. Abu Hir is the father of the male cat. The Sahaba called him father of the female cat. But he used to tell them, don't call me Abu Hurairah, call me Abu Hir. Rasulullah called me Abu Hir. You call me Abu Hir. Don't call me Abu Hurairah. I don't know why it's been called Abu Hurairah with time, but anyway. But she used to tell him, are you sure all these hadiths? He told her, but this is the beautiful relationship the Sahaba had with their mothers. Because when you read a hadith, sometimes people think that the Sahaba were a bit rude to the wives. No. They spoke to them like they were their mothers. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَأَزْوَاجُهُ أُمُّهَاتُهُم, and his wives are the mothers of the believers. And after Rasulullah's death, nobody can marry his wives. خلاص, they become a mother for everyone. يحرموا على كل أحد. خلاص. And that's a test, by the way. And to be Rasulullah's wife after his death, you cannot be anybody else's wife. خلاص. هو أصلا they don't want to be. Who can you accept after Rasulullah? خلاص. بس that's a حكم. But they used to speak to them like they are their mothers. Then he told her, Ya Ummah, he told her, yeah, my mother, didn't you used to comb your hair and you used to put kuhl in your eyes? She said, yes. He told her, in this time you were doing this, I was just listening to Rasulullah and writing down. Basically, he was telling her, didn't you used to take time out of your day to beautify yourself for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a sunnah of a wife to her husband? But she said, yes, of course. He told her, this time that you were using, I was using ba'ah just to write down. This is how much I dedicated myself to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was of Ahlul Sufa. Ahlul Sufa were the people who, when they did the hijrah, they lost their wealth and they never gained it back. Some people Allah gave them the barakah, gave them the time to reclaim this money again through trade. Some didn't. So they would sleep at the mosque or aside of the mosque next to the rooms of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they would accept whatever sadaqah would come to them from booty of war or whatever, or sadaqah. He was of them. He was of these people. When he would sit, once he told Rasulullah, he was very, this is what they cared about. I'm giving you this just for context. You know who Abu Hurairah is, for context. But he told Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I listened to all these hadiths from you, but I can't remember everything. It's hard. It's salat sometimes. I find myself forgetting. Rasulullah, he said, Absat yadak ya Abu Dhar, ya Bahir. He said, put your hands out, Bahir. So he put his hands out. And Rasulullah, the narration says, he poured his hands in. He poured his hands in. And then he said, Dummahu ilayk. Pull it towards you. And he pulled it towards him. There's nothing. We don't see anything. He just said, pull it towards you. What is it? We don't know. He pulled. فقال فما نسيت شيء منها من بعدها. I did not forget one thing since that instant. You know this? The problem is in this is the human being بقى. حتى يعني بل تحبون العجلة بل تريدون العجلة وتذرون الآخرة. You want the thing that's near and close and soon, and you leave the آخرة. You can argue that this action is the same action of when you put your hands out and you make dua up. When you make dua up, you send something up and Allah sends something down. But how come this hadith has so much meaning to us in no? Because it was close. The distance between the hands giving and receiving was a meter. But the distance between us and Allah, in terms of distance, for us it's big. For Allah there's no distance. There's no time. Yani, these things don't exist with Allah. He says, وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمًا. Allah was. Because the akhirah and everything that's going to happen there, it's done already. The tape is done. The movie has been produced. It's over. We're living it. We play. It's there. The DVD is there. That's how far back I go. The DVD is back. It's there. We're pressing play. That's the beauty of this hadith. We need to believe in these things exist. And this type of stuff, I won't say magic, but this type of, I don't know, rohaniyat, they exist. It's there. Wudu does that. And that's why Al-Ghazali, he said something beautiful. When you do wudu, say Imam Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. By the way, if you want to read Ghazali's work, fine, but don't read his work. Read the abridgment of his work. Because his work has a lot of weak hadiths, which he doesn't say it's weak. And it has a lot of mawdu' hadith, which he doesn't say it's mawdu'. So the abridgment by, I think it's Ibn al-Qayyim who did the abridgment. He has this, Imam, sorry. Imam, let me double check. There's one particular one that's good, and there's one that's an abridgment of the abridgment. Yeah, it's a bit shorter. Anyway, you can read that one. It says, here's all the proper stuff Ghazali said, and all the other stuff, they don't even mention it. Asham adab with the scholars. Adab. Khalas? He says when you do wudu, you're doing two things. You're doing an ask or istighfar, a confession, and a promise. The ask is istighfar. You're asking Allah through this action for Him to forgive you. You make wudu, He cannot forgive you. If you're coming with this heart of I'm coming with this heart of kibr, I'm making wudu because I have to pray, I didn't do anything, I didn't say anything wrong, and you wash your mouth and you don't think you said anything wrong. and you don't think you ever say anything wrong, and you're never trying to seek little things that you're saying. And today I was talking about a student to one of my colleagues, and he has this problem where he never comes in the middle. He thinks that the final product is the most important thing. So when I was speaking, I said, I know, he just thinks, the last throw, that's his game. And to me, this little action that I did, that's a kind of ghiba. That's a kind of backbiting. I don't mean it. I didn't mean to backbite. But in retrospect, when I look back, you're making fun of him. You're making fun of his habit. And the way I said it, Kaman, that's something, when I make wudu, I need to seek Allah's istighfar. He forgives that I spoke this way and I use my arms to express like this. Had I been bedridden and paralyzed, I wouldn't be able to speak like this. But I did because I have my health. You make istighfar by asking in your wudu. The second is a confession. The very fact that you do wudu consciously, it's as if you are confessing, I made a mistake, I'm washing my hands. When your hands are dirty, you don't need to ask anyone, can I wash you wash your hands right away. You do it right away, and you do it quickly, and you do it frequently. I was at a beach recently, and there was a huge storm. The storm brought out, it's natural that within the ocean, you have cracks in the ground, and they bring out spurs of oil. That's why we have oil rigs in the middle of the ocean. But the storm was so hard, it brought out all the little pieces of clumped oil in the ocean out to the shore. I didn't think twice of it. I'm walking down the beach during my life. End of the day, I come back, huge blobs of oil under my feet. And I said, it's okay. I'll just walk home and then I'll wash them. And I walked home, and because I pressed so long on the floor, they engraved harder and harder into my skin. By the time I got home, it was so hard to take it out, and that reminded me of our sins, or my sins. Had I scraped it right away on the beach when it was salty and I had all the sand and it still didn't stick. You could see the blob, but it didn't stick. I could have gotten a shell and taken it off and cleaned it with salt water, but I didn't. So when I got home, I had to use hair cream and olive oil and olive soap, anything fatty basically. And I had to scrub with a stone, and it really hurt, and it caused a few abrasions. This is what happens when you're used to a sin for a very long time. And you don't wash it with wudu from your heart, and you don't try to wash it from your life, and you don't wash it with wudu and with salah, it stains, and when you try to remove it, the pain of parting with the sin, it takes a long time. And it hurts. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah. He says, لا يزال بنيانهم الذي بنوا ريبة في قلوبهم إلا أن تقطع قلوبهم. It will remain. This mosque that they built, that they tried to attack Islam through this mosque, as a red herring, basically making people think that this is another good mosque you can go to, and it was not. It was the mosque of the munafiqeen. They were trying to use it as a base to attack the Prophet ﷺ and his da'wah. And when they wanted to repent, Allah said, this building that they built will always be a stain in their heart, except if their hearts tear apart out of sadness that they did this. They have to feel the pain in their tawbah, that they did something horrible. Then Allah will forgive. We tackled this in our Iqra series, which I'll just remind you in the end to maybe sign in on Tuesdays, inshallah. And the lesson is an ask. It's a promise. When you're washing, other than the confession, you're actually promising Allah, I did this mistake, but inshallah I promise I won't do this again. This is a contract with me and you. And here is, we said that we're very good with short term. We look to the short term. We always want what's close. We don't look to what's far away. Yeah, with dua, with everything, with dunya. With shaitan, play the opposite game. Shaitan loves to throw the goal very far away. Make the goal very short. يعني you make wudu. Can you guarantee you can more or less have a good goal of not backbiting from here مثلا to Maghrib, but you cannot guarantee تعيش bit far. To Fajr, especially if you're hanging out with friends or family or whatever, harder. A year from now that you don't do any ghiba, it's a bit hard. Don't play the long game with shaitan. Play the short game. Hey, you're trying to stop a sin. Hey, I'm going to stop backbiting best in Maghrib. Inshallah, with Allah's tawfiq, it will be extended to Aisha. If you make it to Maghrib, check. خلاص. These small wins with shaitan, with time, sees that you understand the game. And it's not about the long term. The long term is very important. But if you make the niyyah to stop غيبة completely, طب انت if you die now, خلاص all of your حسنات have become all of your سيئات have become حسنات. So you have no past. Yeah. And he cannot make you lose hope. لأنه all of his target is أن ييأسك من رحمة الله, to make you lose hope in Allah's rahmah. Sorry about that. To make you lose in Allah's rahmah. Lose hope in Allah's rahmah. That's his target. ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الفاسقون. And another ayah, قوم الكافرون. And do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. People who lose hope in the mercy of Allah, only the people who are denying of His rahmah, or do not believe in Him in the first place, or have done away with all of decency in life. First, like we said before, it's like peeling a fruit inside out. It's like basically seeing the inside out of, imagine your skin inside out. You see all the veins and all the fat on the outside. Two-faced, basically. That's what fasiq is. You're not normal. You don't think normally. You don't act normally. You're upside down with how you think, with your logic, etc. Yeah? So it's these three things, basically. For every next time, maybe a little exercise for you for Maghrib. When we make wudu, we say, what am I taking istighfar from? What am I confessing that I did? Because it's the same. Yeah? If you seek istighfar, it goes together. You're confessing for, you're asking for forgiveness. They walk together, a burger and fries. And then you make a promise, and I won't do this again. These are by the way, the scholars say this. They say, if you want to stop a sin you're doing, don't say, I will not do this for the rest of my life. That's the intention. The intention is, I will not do this for the rest of my life. But when your nafs pushes you, whatever sin it might be, you're not going to do this ever again. And shaitan comes to you back. You have the willpower to never, not ever, that's it, it's over, new page. You were born again today, مش معقولة. You have a whole print, neurons in your brain, they fire and they wire when you think about this, ازاي? Hey, I'm not going to do it now, بس for the next hour. Put stopwatch. Most likely, by the time the 10 minutes, hour finishes, you forget about it. Tomorrow is another battle. You fall, you get up again, you fall. And the hadith. أذنب عبدي ذنبا فعلم الله ربا يغفر الذنب ويأخذ بالذنب فغفرت له فاستغفرني فغفرت له. My slave has done a mistake and he knew that he has a Lord that forgives sins and he takes you by the sins and he can punish you. So he asked me for forgiveness, so I forgave him. He says this 3 times. Then he says in the end, فليفعل عبدي ما شاء فإني قد غفرت له. Let my slave do whatever he does. Whatever he does, I have forgiven him. It doesn't mean he'll keep on doing the sin. It means if he keeps on doing this for the rest of his life, because he has this relationship with Allah where he understands and he needs to fall every while. Every while it can be once every 30 years. It can be once every 10. It can be once every year, once every season, once every month, once every week. This is between you and Allah. But look at the positive side. You fell more, but you did more tawbah. So you're of the tawwabin. Some people with time, they forget the blessing of being a tawwab, a person who keeps on returning to Allah. So what happens, what takes the place, the seat of tawwab? Sometimes it's not shukr. Sometimes it's kibr. That you actually think that you did this. That you are amazing. And you're not. How Allah gave you mercy and He knows your mind and your heart will not be able to take that you keep on falling. You're too weak to see your own downfall. For Allah gives you the mercy of khalas. I'll write for him and he will not do sin again. So he feels the pleasure and the happiness and the joy of not doing it. But it's not you. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ibn Qayyim says something beautiful about this. He says, in Kitab Sayyid al-Khatir, the catcher of ponderings, he said, what are you, into your both parts, soil and soul. He says, what are you except a piece of date, a small drink of milk, a piece of bread, a piece of meat from some sort of animal, and a drink of water. They came together in the kidneys of a person. The kidneys produced the reproduction fluid of both sides. They found themselves moving towards one another. They came, the liquids mixed, and they didn't divide like they do in the ocean. Allah could have made the liquids not come together, just like He makes the Nile meet the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea, and they don't mix. You see green water and you see blue water, and they come together, they don't mix. He could have made مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان, but all rivers and all seas, they meet, but they don't mix, or else you wouldn't have fresh water, or else the Middle East wouldn't have the problem of desalinizing all of the ocean water there, because they don't mix. Allah could have made that these two waters from the man and the woman, they don't mix. He made them that they mix. Subhanallah. But this is you. And then you grow, and then you die, and then your flesh becomes worm food. He says this, he becomes worm food. And then your bones become dust, and with the passage of time and difference of politics and the switch of the earth's crust, earthquakes, etc., your bones will disperse into powder everywhere, and there's no trace of you. And then you are a soul. It's a blow from Allah. He blows into you, as he says in the Quran. He blowed into him from his soul. Allah says this about himself. He puts into you from his beautiful characteristics whatever he wishes. For some people, they're very steadfast. Some people, they're very merciful. Some people, they're very polite. Some people, they don't care about dunya khalis. Their eyes are on the prize, on akhirah. It's all from Allah. For the reality, what are you? Only a decision. The only thing you have that you hold is a decision. Do I want to be here or do I want to be there? إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا إِمَّا كَفُورًا. We gave him the two paths. إِمَّا thankful or إِمَّا كَفُورًا, or denying. That's Surah Al-Insan. So this is Surah Al-Insan started with this. This is your reality. Insan, this is your reality. This or this, yes.
What was the book by Ibn Qayyim?
Sayd al-Khatir, catcher of ponderings.
Capture. Okay.
Capturer. Sayd, to capture something. It's in English. I found there's PDFs every, it's a really big book. But there's an audio book in Arabic. I don't know if there's an audio book in English, but it's a really good book. Because his sections, listen, they're half a page. Believe me, you read them 10 times. Not because they're hard to understand, but because they're so deep, just to grasp the concept, you need to read it like 10 times. Really good. Like Al-Qibla, and we're almost done, and then we'll take questions. If we don't have questions, then we'll keep on going to 6:15. Al-Qibla. The Prophet ﷺ, خلاص we did wudu. خلاص we finished. We're going to the prayer, or to Salah now, and now we face the Qibla. The Prophet ﷺ, كان رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي وهو بمكة نحو بيت المقدس والكعبة بين يديه وبعدما هاجر إلى المدينة 16 شهرا ثم صرف إلى الكعبة. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to pray towards Mecca before this was before the Qibla was changed. So before we used to pray towards Al-Quds, which is Palestine. And then the Qibla was changed to Mecca, back to the Bayt of Sayyidina Ibrahim, the Bayt that he built originally. And I have something I want to say about this whole Bayti thing, because I'll come to it. But he used to pray to Al-Quds. Let's say Mecca, Aslan, if you're standing, let's say, south of Saudi Arabia or south of Ard al-Hijaz, Mecca is there, Al-Quds is here. So there's a very clear difference in the angles. Khalas? For the Prophet ﷺ, here's at the Kaaba, right in front of him. If he prays this way, let's say, he's looking towards England. If he prays this way, he's looking towards Al-Quds. But the Qibla is not the Kaaba, the Qibla is the Quds. But he wishes that the Kaaba can go back because Allah mandated that this Bayt is his Bayt. This is the Bayt of Allah, and it's under Bayt al-Ma'mur up in heaven. But he knows its value, but he cannot change it right away because this was the Sunnah that came before him, so he has to wait till Allah says, okay, it's changing back now. So he would pray at the Kaaba towards Al-Quds, but the Kaaba is in front of him. It's almost like having a double Qibla, because he wants the Kaaba to be his Qibla. Does that make sense? فبعدين Allah said قَنَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا. He didn't ask Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just says, we see this, the switching of your face in the skies. We see that you are looking there, but you want to be here. So we will give you a Qibla that you are content with. He didn't say we will answer your dua. He just said we will give you. This is the maqam of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is his maqam. Inno, I'll give you what you want, so you are happy. طيب, why is the Kaaba? Why do we have this love for the Kaaba? طبعا there's a few things. I won't go through all of them, and I do hope we can have maybe a session on Dhul Qa'dah, on Hajj. Because, by the way, the scholars say something beautiful. عشان بس for all of us who are not going to Hajj this year. He said, أكثر الحجاج خارج البيت. They say most of the people who do Hajj truly from their heart, they're not in Mecca. لأنه if you see the number of Muslims in the world, portion, that go to Kaaba, to go to Mecca, and those who don't, the ratio is huge. حتى if everyone applied, meant that they cannot take everyone. Yeah, برضه Mecca is. But the action of actually renewing your intention and going through the season of Dhul Hijjah, those 10 days, some people grasp it more than people who are actually there doing the Hajj. Why is the Kaaba so important in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said to Sayyidina Ibrahim, أن طهر بيتي للطائفين والقائمين وركع السجود. He said, and clean and purify my house. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my house. For those who circumambulate, and those who stand in prayer, and those who do ruku' and those who do sujood. The Kaaba is Allah's house. But why did Allah choose Allah's house to be in the place with the least possible resources ever? No rivers, no oceans, no fruits, no nothing. Everything that goes there is from outside. And I see it as an ayah. You walk into a supermarket there, and you have everything. They have our oat milk that we make here. They have everything. And this is of the barakat that Allah sent to this place. You know, they have nothing, literally. Hatta the water, just so you know, I'm not dissing on their cause. This is the reality. There was a person, by the way, a person who has no complexes, right, and no beef with anyone and no racism will tell you this. Will tell you 40 years ago we did not have clean water to drink from. We did not have clean running water. Not even 40, 35 years ago. Water was more expensive in Saudi Arabia than oil. You could fill up your gas tank. It cost you less than buying clean water for your family at home to cook and drink from. This was 35 years ago. This is how much they have nothing except oil under their feet. Subhanallah, Allah made this an ayah that the signs of time will come true. That those who were taking care of the camels and the sheep and were walking barefoot will race in who builds higher structures. It's the sign of the time. And they have Zamzam, basket, and Bayt Allah. This alone is enough. But why Allah put this bait there? Because putting it there, enter you come best for Allah. Yani, you're not going because of the beach. The beach is 2 hours away from Mecca. You're not going for the beach. And if back in the day, if you're going by horse or a camel, it's a really long way away. There's nothing there. And I see it as a rahmah of Allah. The heat in Mecca is a beautiful heat. Yeah, there are different types of heat with humidity, heat in the tropical islands. The heat in Mecca is a beautiful heat. You can take it. But if you're going with enough ikhlas, you can take it. And taban karam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you're going, there's nothing there except His bait. And we come, we worship you because you are worthy of worship. And I'm in prison, I've lost a family member, I've lost my health, I've lost my wealth, whatever it is, you are worthy, khalas. Not to take anything in return. This in itself, by the way, should always realign us. Whatever you're doing in life meant that you stepped away from work. Work gives you some sort of success and fulfillment, and you stepped away from family, you stepped away from something you like, from sports, from a nice activity. When you align to the Kaaba, it's like, I'm here to worship even if I don't gain anything. And this comes with practice with time. And I speak to sport junkies, they say, when I'm doing my run, whatever it is, by marathon, half marathon, whatever, they say, I stop and I pray on time. And it breaks my cycle. And if he wants to do cardio for 2 hours straight, it breaks my cycle. He says, but I break it because I want to prove to Allah, I'm not in it for the gains. There is no gain. The only gain is to be there to worship you regardless. He stops. You're traveling with your family. You have the rukhsat to pray Jama'at al-Jami'ah. But it's nice when you stop your car and you take the time out to step out of your car. Take the Musallaya, put something heavy so the wind doesn't blow it away. Do wudu fresh with a water bottle that you've prepared beforehand and pray on time. There's something about that when you stop your life, whatever positivity you're in, that means something very heavy. And it changes your soul. So that when you're in a musibah, when you're in the middle of a calamity and you pray in the middle of the calamity, there's a sweetness to it bardo when you broke your leg. And you're on a stretcher going to the hospital in the ambulance. And it's duhr time. And you pray like that. There's a sweetness to that in no, this is my life. It's not now I'm praying because now I need Allah. No, and I used to pray all the time. And it's not fakhr that no, it's thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He made you a person who He is always your first priority. I take time out to speak to Allah. That's it. Then now, if my family call me on my phone because I'm giving this talk, I won't answer. I'll just say, can I call you later, please? I'm in the house. If they call me again, I'll step out. Although you all have lives, you all have things you have to do, I'll step because they're priority to me. But he's calling. The adhan is the ringtone. He's calling. Subhanallah. طيب, I'm going to stop here. We were going to switch to takbir. What does this mean? Or the meanings behind mish, what comes after it and its meanings, because we said the meanings last time. What comes after it and how to see it in a larger context. I'm going to stop here. I'm just going to put the slide for the questions. If we don't receive any questions, we'll move right away, inshallah. Okay. These are questions from last time. Ignore them. Just you can put your own questions as well. By the way, if you don't have a question, you don't have to put a question. I always have something to say. Okay, so it's okay. I'll just take from the next slides. So if you have a question, put it in. That's more important than completing the slides. What are we, the ruh, the nafs, or the intercept between the two? Allah, it's a very nice question. We can go into this maybe in more detail, inshallah, in the future, because I did a little bit, very small research, subhanAllah, a couple of months ago on this. If you want to put it this way, it's like the ruh, the nafs, and you have ruh, and you have nafs, and you have a body with shahawat and with desires, etc. The body is like coffee grains. The ruh is like water. You put them together, you get coffee that you can actually drink, that's called the nafs. Okay? So you are completely pure and you are clean kida of anything when you pass away, because you're going to be bas ruh. The body, that substance, those chemicals, that shahawat, the hormones, these biologies, digital and analog at the same time, because we're both digital and analog. Electricity in our head and the neurons that they send, this is digital, and we're also analog. So we're like computers, but we're also organic elements. Subhanallah. These things, it's the coffee grinds. Together they make the coffee. And taban people are different in the coffee, the taste. Someone has cardamom, someone is a dark blend, someone is a light blend, and it depends on your character. And that's what the Hadith Qudsi says. When Allah created Adam, He made Sayyidina Jibreel go to each parts of the land, so He took a handful of clay from each part. So he would take soil from everywhere. Then he says, so then the son of Adam, some of them are easy to forgive, easy to get angry. Some of them are easy to forgive, they take a long time to get angry. Some of them take a long time to get angry, and they take a long time to forgive. And then the last one is some of them take a long time to forgive, and they're easy to get angry. He said, for the worst of them are those who get angry quickly, take a long time to forgive. The best ones are the ones who forgive quickly, take a long time to get angry. And by the way, this is not being racist, but this is the reality. I find it very difficult that sometimes you can see very overtly in athletic context, some people clearly have genetic up than others when it comes to athletic performance. This is, it's very clear. It's not a coincidence that African Americans, if you want to put it that way, are always the number one sprinters, no matter what country they belong to. The USA, they come in first. The Brits, they come in first. The Nigerians, they come in first. مش معقولة يعني. The training was good. The coach was good in each country that well. No, it's genetic. Same as you have genetic up in build, there is also ups and downs in where you come from as an ethnicity. And I'm telling you, I'm hot-headed. I hold it because I've been living here, so now I've become a fridge like the Brits because I have to be, or else I won't get anything done in this country if I show my emotions all the time. But I have a part of me that's a hothead. And if you look at my genetic pool, 60% of it comes from the Middle East. The rest is European, more or less, and African. But most of it comes from the Middle East. Makes sense. We're hotheads. It's known, Understanding this is a hikmah. It is a hikmah. It's not a bad thing. It's a hikmah. And deal with the person based on that. طبعا there are anomalies. Yes, it's true. There's always... look at the general data and the anomalies. Basically, in the end, what you deal with is the nafs. This is the thing that you're dealing with on a daily basis, the nafs. It's this. Not really the body on its own. The body on its own is not the problem. It's the nafs. It's when it's alive, when it's animated. Nobody's a problem when they're dead. Nobody's a problem. حتى بيقول لك نوم الظالم عبادة. The sleep of an oppressor, it's a form of ibadah. Because the soul is not there, it's taken away, it's with Allah, they can't do anything. For we are a mix of all three. We're a mix of all three, but in the end of the day, you're dealing with the nafs. But in essence, when you leave, you're that ruh. Yes?
Because you say we deal with the nafs.
Yeah.
Which implies that it's like the nafs is what we deal with, not by ourselves.
Yes.
We're like...
أيوه. يعني in the end of the day, once we pass away, once we pass away, and we're out of our bodies, خلاص, we're pulled out. For we look back and we say, يا ريت, I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't listen to my nafs. I wish. Sorry. So I can focus. ADHD thing, yeah. فأنت the decisions you make, the nafs, it's not you, but it's yours. It's not you, but it's yours. And Al-Ghazali, the way he puts it is in what you really are is the knight riding the horse. خلاص? The knight is the soul. But you cannot leave the horse. You're stuck with them. So you have to be smart how much water you give it, how much food, so you can keep on going. If it wants to eat more, don't feed it more, or else it will stop. You won't be able to go. But it's part of you. You see what I mean? The problem is that sometimes we trick ourselves and we say, oh, this is me. And this is how people sometimes they despair and they see themselves as not worthy of anything in life and they lose self-confidence. I don't believe in self-confidence, but you get what I mean. It's because they say, oh, I have these desires, or I think this way, or I do these mistakes and I must be horrible. No, this is my nafs. This is the test I have to contend with. وخلاص. لأنه once we are dead, خلاص, and we leave, we won't contend with these things anymore. يعني if someone مثلا is really good at making fun of people. By the way, if they overcome this, if they overcome this talent, this linguistic talent of knowing how to make fun of people, how to put two and two together and, put A in the right place so it gives birth to C, etc. When they're dead, these things they're not there anymore. It was there when this body was with the soul, khalas. Now that you're in your qabr, the soul will say, I wish I hadn't done that when I was in that body. Because I should have been stronger. Because I had the dua, I had my tawakkul, I had my sunnah, I had the salah, I had all of these things, but I chose to do that. That's what will happen. In a sense, it's not you. And that's how you really have to treat you. And that's why some people say, with time, the mu'min grows the ability to say, I'm never comfortable staying on my own, but I love being on my own, but I love being in solitude. I'm never comfortable staying on my own with my nafs, but I love being in solitude. Write that down. ليه بقى? Because when you stay on your own, مثلا I love to sometimes take a trip on my own, without anyone كده. I have every year كده, I have a few days كده, I go on my trip كده. Nobody comes with me. Take my food, go to the beach, or I find a nice place to stay. Nobody comes. I just reflect كده. With time, I realize this is one of the heaviest things on my heart. And I don't want to see people. I don't want to go back and see people. I just don't want to stay with myself. You know why? Because I realized back with time what the scholars say. If you taste the flavor of yourself long enough, you will not like it. When you sit long enough with yourself, you realize, you know what? I'm not that worthy of sitting with myself. It's not that nice, really. You get bored quickly. You lose interest in ibadah quickly. Your mind wanders too quickly. You think about things that are too close in dunya too quickly, too often. No matter how good you are. You realize the solitude, the beauty about being alone is that you're able to reflect with Allah. Make dua constantly, clearly, make dhikr a lot, without any inputs from people, without having to, I have to get the rights of my wife, rights of my child, rights of my mother, rights of my father, rights of my friends, rights of my neighbors. These things are not intruding. That's why i'tikaf, 10 days a day, is very important, because there are no inputs. But the alone times with Allah, it's not with you. Because if you spend, again, enough time with yourself, you will not be happy. For when you get up in the middle of the night to do your qiyam, don't say, Alhamdulillah, I'm with myself. I can enjoy my company. La. Say, I'm enjoying being with Allah. So you go straight into istighfar, which is the sunnah, because you're with Him. And that makes even sitting with your nafs, that weight of being with your nafs, that you cannot leave until you die, becomes much lighter. The scholars say something very nice. They say, imagine if you're in your house, you have a roommate you cannot get rid of for your whole life. And they have really bad habits. They don't shower, they leave the door open in the kitchen, and they make things with garlic, and onions all day. They never choose something clean to cook. Everything is garlic and onions all day. Right? They snore. Right? They bring friends that are not nice. They open the TV in the middle of the night and they watch Netflix, and you're trying to sleep and you have an exam the second day. This is the nafs. And you have to be smart. Why don't you watch it when I'm gone? Oh, Allah, meshi, okay. Why don't you eat this? It's healthy, but it's not garlic and meshi. You have to treat it like a baby. This is the nafs. Sorry. What does one do when they cannot find the qibla? You estimate. Being an architect, it helps me be able to find the qibla easily. Basically, this is how you see it. What time is it now? 7 p.m. 7 p.m. there's east and there's west. Easy way. We're in England. There's east and there's west. Saudi Arabia is here, southeast. Mecca is here, southeast. The sun rises from the east and sets in the west. But right now, the sun is over there, because the shadow is here, so I can tell. The sun is up here almost, because it's over there. So it's, by the time it goes down, go down over there. So this is west, and this is east. This is south. The qibla must be this way. If any of you check right now on your phone, you find that the qibla is more or less this way. Should be this way.
Spot on.
There you go. Best way, if you know this is because it's my practice. I've been doing this for almost 15 years now, and I understand because it's my practice, not because of anything else. Best way, if you know best directions, east, south, and look at the shade. Where's the shade? Taban, this is because there's sun today. On the 300 days of this country, I would not be able to tell you where the qibla is, because there's no shadow, because there's no sun. Okay, but you estimate where it is, and you try to pray as much as you can. Khalas? How did the people of the past wake up for Fajr? It's a very good question. بس I don't know, but I expect habit and نية. And habit and نية. Or نية, sorry, before the habit. No. دعاء, نية, and habit. What's my proof? How many times do you put your alarm and you don't wake up for Fajr? Or you snooze? And you have all the reasons in the world to not wake up, to wake up, but you don't. ليه؟ لأنه it's دعاء, it's نية, and it's habit. And بقى my scholar بقى, يعني my sheikh, يعني gave me all the tazkiyah, may Allah bless his soul. Although he used to give the weak hadith, subhanallah, everyone takes from his work now in the end. Yeah, they all go through no, we need the rigorous, everything has to be sahih. 20% of his stuff was weak, but everyone goes back to his teachings now. Because they realize, if it's not tazkiyah, you won't be able to go far. Do all the fiqh you want, all the tafsir you want, all the hadith you want. If you don't purify your nafs and your manners, you won't be able to make it that far. He used to say, whoever serves Allah in the day, Allah has to give him the honor of waking up at night. All of your actions, everything you do, when you put limits to your relationship with someone, did you do it because you don't like them? Or because honestly you don't think this is right for your deen, and you don't like that this is how they practice their deen? When you befriend someone, do you do it because, oh, they're a nice person? Or because honestly this is how we keep the deen protected and we push it forward. Everything that you do, what you choose to eat, what you don't choose to eat, what you choose to say, how you choose to say it, everything. If this is in your night all the time, the honor Allah gives you is that you wake up. Not just for Fajr, before Fajr come in. And it's simple. Yani, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever wakes up in the middle of the night, he says, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Wallahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. He's forgiven. Whoever wakes up and says, لا إله الله العظيم لا إله الله العظيم الحليم لا إله الله رب العرش الكريم لا إله الله رب السماوات والأرض ما بينهما رب العرش الكريم. Whoever says that, all of his stress is taken away, his sins are forgiven. Whoever wakes up in the middle of the night and does wudu and prays 2 light rak'at and sleeps again, they are accepted. They are accepted. This emphasis on that, we don't know if all of our prayers are accepted, ya jama'ah. We don't know, Allah. And he's forgiven. But just take whatever you can, anything, but any small door to get you into waking you up. I think that's it, right? Okay, this is the last one. What is the difference, including roots in Arabic, between a Muslim and a mu'min? Why there is a hadith that tells us not to call us mu'mins, even though the direct translation is usually a believer? Okay, I think you're referring, the second part, you're referring to the ayah in Surah, قالت الأعراب آمنا I think it's in Surah, what, is it التوبة or الحجرات? I forgot. قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا لكن قولوا أسلمنا. The Bedouins, they said, we believed. Prophet said, do not say you believed. Say you have submitted. Until Allah, وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلُ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ, until Iman enters your hearts. A Muslim and mu'min. Muslim comes from salima. Salima is to submit. A mu'min is amana. Amana comes from safety and security. And Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Muslim man salim al-nas min lisanihi wa yadihi. وَالْمُؤْمِن مَنْ إِسْتَأْمَنَهُ النَّاسِ عَلَى أَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَعْرَاضِهِمْ وَدِمَائِهِمْ. The Muslim is the person who does not hurt people with his hands and his tongue. Yani he doesn't do evil. So what's the mu'min? It's a higher maqam. It's the person that people go to and they know he will not hurt them with his tongue or his hand. They trust him with their honor, their reputation, with their blood and with their money. Yani they willingly come to you, they tell you a secret because they know you will not tell anyone else. And they know if you see a mistake of them, you will not go tell people, do you know what he was doing yesterday? ولا حتى with your eyes. يعني مثلا you can say, oh, this person, I can talk about ghiba. But then you can look to your friend and say, because you know that I do ghiba. But this, it means that you just hurt me. They know that you will not do that. They know you will not take anything of you will never attack them or take their land. And they know that you will never take anything from their money. They come to you willingly. Means they're afraid of you, they come to you willingly. Very different. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and this is, by the way, Asana, I've lived this. I've lived where I've had neighbors, they were so good, because I was in the country of great civil war and revolution, etc., where I would leave my keys with them, and I know they would not do one single thing. And I would have to have a transaction, big money transaction, and I would be able to trust them to put all the money, and I know they would give it all back to me. And I know people, I had neighbors, wallahi, I did not trust that they would say the smallest thing about me behind my back. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man la yu'min jarahu bawa'iqahu fala imana la." The person who cannot guarantee that his neighbor is not going to harm him behind his back, there is no iman for him. طب harder بقى, you want a harder hadith? من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعني. The good Islam of a person is to leave what does not concern him. I.e., mind your own business. يعني if I have a neighbor who says bad things about me, they don't have iman. خلاص? طب if I have a neighbor who doesn't say bad things about me, I see him, he's leaving. Where's he going? Do you know where he goes? He's dressed this way. Is he going to the gym? How many days does he go a week? Did he get married? How many kids? Where does he work? When did he change his car? Did he buy it locally, yani, or did he bring it from abroad? This takes away your Islam aslan. Yani Allahu A'lam, if asasan with Allah, you have Islam. Then if you're thinking about these stupid things, is there any space in your mind for anything else? Really? بجد يعني? And نعوذ بالله, may Allah never make us of those. But that's why there are grades. There are grades. And then there's Muhsin بقى. They worship Allah as if they see Him. These are by people of Gaza بقى. You know, you hear about the story. I just saw a picture the other day on Instagram. A guy, he got injured. He was injured for 3 days, bleeding, and he knew nobody's going to reach him. So he went to a tree. He took off his ring, he tied it in a rope. Maybe you guys saw the post. He tied it in a rope so that his family he had a very special ring. So his family would know where he's buried in his area. He dug a hole, slight hole, not really, as much as he could. And he went into sujood and he died into sujood. But they found his body composted. They found the skeleton. They found the skeleton but in a state of sujood. La ilaha Allah. He died. He knew that his wife is going to become a widow. His children are going to become orphaned. He died injured after 3 days. Maybe he didn't eat for 3 days. Right? And he's leaving a message for people to find. And he knows that people are going to see him in this state. And he died in sujood. Muhsineen. That's another maqam ba. They don't see what's going on. Khalis. Bas. They see everything here is bas me and Allah. Wallahi. Bas good. That's what the two men said to Sayyidina Yusuf when he was in the prison. إِنَّ نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. If you look at the Surah Yusuf is one of the surahs with the most mentioning of the word ihsan. Go back through the verses in Surah Yusuf. Maybe we'll have, inshallah, maybe one day on Surah Yusuf. Ya Rab, inshallah. I study it enough so that we can actually have it. See the situations he was in to be called of the muhsineen. Bas. A person of that nobility, of that stature, what kind of situations they were in to be called of the muhsinin. بس أقول قولي هذا أستغفر لكم استغفرون الغفور الرحيم. Anything that's been said that was correct was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything that was incorrect was from myself, and from shaitan, inevitably. سبحانك وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. We ask Allah that He helps us practice everything that's been said and heard. And I seek refuge from Allah that He makes me a bridge that maybe you can reach Him in some way, and then He throws me, or does with me, into Jahannam. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, I'll see you next week. Just a small reminder, if you don't mind. Very quick. We're every week, inshallah, on Tuesdays, we have the Iqra series. It's at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It's online. There's a Google link. You'll find it in the WhatsApp group, so please just join it from there. Oh, somebody tell me something. Yeah, there we go. خلاص. It's every week, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Inshallah, as long as we're alive. Inshallah, if Allah gives us hidayah. It's a year-long thing. It's not a season thing. It's a year-long thing. And last thing, we're trying to put together a podcast It's similar to these sessions, but it's more of a podcast. So it's topics or episodes based around topics that trouble the youth and things that we all need to hear, but in more depth. So we take the resources from Ibn al-Qayyim, 8 different tafsirs, we bring them together, etc. We need a video editor. That's all we need. Someone who's good with video editing. If you know someone, it's only 1 session or 2 episodes a month maximum. It's all online. They don't need to be there in person. We sent out a reminder on the WhatsApp group. We'll send it maybe again soon. Just take it and send it wherever you can. We just need a volunteer who wants to help. That's it. Okay? Jazakallahu khairan. See you next week. Sorry I was late. I tried my best. Assalamu alaikum.